Trump's Agenda 47 has 4 separate posts about the war in Ukraine, and yet manages to say very little. If you haven't heard of Agenda 47, it was supposed to be Trump's official platform, which he and his supporters used to distance him from Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation. Given some of Trump's appointments, there's really no way to deny their influence anymore, but I think it's still worth taking a look at Trump's personal platform to know what to expect from his second term. Making multiple posts about the same topic is not unusual for Agenda 47, but having so little content in those posts kind of is. Nothing about Trump's plan is stated directly, but it's not hard to figure out the implications. In the Preventing World War III post, he insists the US cannot get into a conflict with a nuclear-armed country. Well, Russia is already involved, so that limits what the US can do under Trump's secret plan. His other post about the war accuses Biden of doing all the wrong things, including sending US tanks to Ukraine. Combined with Trump's refusal to say he wants Ukraine to win the war, I don't see any way to interpret this other than Trump wants to end support for Ukraine entirely. The rest of this World War III post goes on to complain about the people here in the US that were involved in investigating and charging Trump for all the crimes he's been committing. This was sort of a precursor to his enemies within speech.
But the greatest threat to Western civilization today is not Russia. It's probably, more than anything else, ourselves and some of the horrible USA-hating people that represent us. It's the abolition of our national borders. It's the failure to police our own cities. It's the destruction of the rule of law from within.
This was written back in 2023, but it's a little ironic that Trump complains about a breakdown in the rule of law before the openly corrupt Supreme Court granted him immunity, and now the criminal that appointed half those judges gets to be president again. Moving on to Trump's de-escalation plan, I think we all know what it's going to be. Ukraine has to cede territory to Russia. He doesn't say it explicitly, but again, how else can he possibly end the war in 24 hours if he won't let the US oppose Russia in any way? Zelensky obviously understands this, and that's why he suddenly turned into a Trump sycophant on November 6th. Not that I blame him. Trump is influenced by flattery and wants to be seen as a strongman, just like his favorite dictators. I just don't expect it to work for Zelensky when Trump has already cemented himself as
Vladimir Putin's holster.
There's another post claiming the war never would have happened under Trump. It was published on the same day and has the exact same text as the last post, just a different video. The overall message is the same though. Biden sending tanks to Ukraine is just escalating things. Russia would not have invaded under Trump, and Trump could negotiate an end to the war very easily. But it's not like there was peace over there during Trump's first term either. Under Obama, Russia invaded the eastern portion of Ukraine, and Ukraine was still fighting to get it back when Trump became president. In fact, Trump was actually bragging about how much more he was helping Ukraine than Obama had.
What we've done in terms of Ukraine with, Obama used to give them pillows and blankets, and we gave them things that they can fight with.
Just 2 months after that interview, Trump's administration would prevent the transfer of congressionally approved aid to Ukraine. And a few days after that, Trump would have his perfect phone call with the newly elected Zelensky, where Trump suggested Ukraine could pay us back for all the aid we've sent by publicly announcing the reopening of an investigation into Hunter Biden. That whole Burisma investigation, by the way, never had anything to do with the Bidens. I mean, obviously Hunter was only given the job because the head of Burisma wanted access to the vice president. But the investigation was aimed specifically at the head of Burisma, first for money laundering, then for handing out drilling permits to his own subsidiary companies during his time serving in the government. Neither of those involved Hunter Biden. As for the prosecutor that got fired, he had already been declared corrupt by Ukraine, Europe, and the US. Everyone wanted him gone, and the aid package that Biden was supposed to be delivering was already contingent on Ukraine taking steps to root out corruption in their government. Also, the Burisma investigations were all inactive by the time the prosecutor was voted out by Parliament. Of course, Trump didn't care that it was all a big lie. He just wanted the scandal of a Biden investigation to help his own re-election campaign. Trump was never an ally to Ukraine. The last post that mentions Ukraine is actually about solving the homelessness problem here in the US. Trump says if we stop giving them so much money, we could save all our homeless vets instead. Variations of this claim are pretty common by anyone who wants to stop supporting Ukraine but doesn't want to sound too pro-Russia. The problem is, Trump's own party continually votes against spending on public welfare programs, including the VA, and Trump doesn't even say that he will spend that saved money to house the vets. Also, we're not literally sending money over to Ukraine. The aid money is spent on weapons manufactured or stockpiled in the US. It's basically like giving Ukraine a gift card to our own business. Most of the money stays here. It's also a very small part of government spending. The US has enough wealth to help both Ukraine and our own citizens. The problem is that 70 million people voted to help neither. This whole thing reminds me of a slogan that was going around during the Brexit debate. The Leave campaign claimed that the dues paid to the European Union could be spent funding the UK's national healthcare system instead. Note the phrasing there. Leave won, largely because of that NHS claim, and immediately the people who made that claim started backtracking, which a lot of Leave voters were not happy about. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing some of the same disappointment from people who still somehow expect public welfare to be bolstered under a Republican government. It's amazing how Trump voters have managed to screw over 2 countries this time. I started writing this video toward the end of last year, and then shelved it for a while thinking it wouldn't be relevant anymore by the time I finished. Turns out, even after some new developments, this is all very much still relevant. I will note the bits of good news on this front so far. The last aid package that was passed under Biden has not been blocked by Trump or the president. Secondly, Trump's newfound obsession with rare earth minerals has given him a permanent interest in Ukraine, or at least the land they occupy. This was actually foreshadowed a bit in his other Agenda 47 post, where he talks about wanting to end US reliance on China for rare minerals. That's also been his newest excuse for threatening a military takeover of Greenland and Canada. Why our anti-war president can't just offer to buy those minerals from our longtime allies, I don't know. Anyway, that's Zelensky's newest strategy, offering to pay for US aid with Ukraine's rare minerals. The problem with this, and the reason I'm still pessimistic, is that a lot of those deposits are in eastern Ukraine, in territory that's either contested or completely controlled by Russia. On the one hand, you could see this as a way to force Trump to fully commit to a Ukraine victory, so he can get his minerals. On the other hand, what happens when Putin offers Trump an even better deal? End the aid packages, let Russia keep the land they've taken, and Trump gets his minerals cheaper and faster. I stand by what I said earlier, that Trump has never been an ally to Ukraine. His only interest now is their natural resources, and I don't think he cares who he gets them from.